1249 minimum remove to make valid parentheses. So basically you're giving a string S of the parentheses and in lowercase English characters, basically something like this, Leetcode. Your task is remove the minimum number of the parentheses in any position so that resulting the parentheses is valid, and you can return any valid string in the end. So formally, a parentheses string is valid if it is an empty string containing only lowercase characters, or it can be written as AB, where A and B are valid strings, or it can be written as A, where there's a parenthesis on the left and then there's a right, basically a pair where A is a valid string. So they give you an example here. After the removal of the actual parentheses, if you return Leetcode like this and then remove the last parenthesis, or if you don't remove the last one and you do 2 on the left, 2 on the right, this will also be valid and you can return either one of them. So for this one, you will have to return this one on the right side and return the rest of the character. And for this one, you will need to return something like this because it's not valid. There's no parentheses start with the right bracket, right? So here are some constraints here, and here are the company asked the question in the last 6 months. It's a median legal question. So the lower English characters are all actually noise. What you really wanted to do is look at the sequence of the parentheses, and we can think about different scenarios that how we can handle it. If we're not looking at the characters here, then you can see there are 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and then there's one actually on the right. How do we process this? Is that we actually wanted to use a stack in this question here. So for the stack, we want to store all the parentheses. If it's a left parenthesis, I'm going to continue to append everything to the stack. So for example, let's go process this one, right? If it's a left parenthesis, I'm just going to append, and then I'm going to append the second one too, since it's a left parenthesis. And if I see a right parenthesis, there are 2 situations, right? One situation is that the stack is not empty, which is this case. In this case, then what I wanted to do is that I want to make sure that they're a valid pair. So I wanted to actually pop from the stack because this guy and this guy could be a valid pair. That's why I will pop from the stack to make sure that they're valid. And then I'm continue to process this one. And when I process this one, I can see they're a pair. So I'm going to pop from the stack also. And then that's it, right? And then that I have to process the last one. So when I process the last one, if it's a right parenthesis and also the stack is empty, in this case, I wanted to remove this. I basically wanted to remove. How do we handle this? It's an easier way is actually if you write the entire string to a list, and then when you write them to a list, you will be enumerate their character and with the index number. And when I append to the stack, instead of appending the parentheses, what I can append is actually their index number. And then I can remove their index number also. And if in the end there's still anything exists in the stack in the end, what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna set that I'm gonna set the index number that is left in the stack for that list, the correspondent character in the list, I'm going to set it to empty also. And then in the end, I'm going to join the entire list back to a string. That's basically how you can solve this problem. And let me show you how to do this in code. Basically, you want to do a string as a list. You write the string to a list at the beginning. So then when you write to a list, it will look something like it will look something like this basically, and then something like this, right? I'm just showing you an example here. So after you write this to the list, and what you need is a stack to store all the index for these parentheses. Everything else, I'm just gonna leave it in the list because I'm gonna join them back up together in the end. So I'm gonna enumerate the list for IC in enumerate the list, right? I'm gonna enumerate the list. So I will also print out the index number, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, so that I know the index number for each apprentices. So there are two different main scenario. If the character is equal to the left, I'm not gonna touch any lowercase English word, and I'm only gonna process the parentheses. If it's the left parentheses, I'm going to append. Like what we mentioned is that I'm not gonna append the parentheses to the stack. Instead, I'm gonna append the index of this parentheses, so that in the end we will know which one exactly we want to remove, right? So that's the left parenthesis case. And if it's a right parenthesis, if there's a right parenthesis, there's actually two scenarios if you remember. First is that when the stack is not empty, I'm just gonna pop the left, right? And then the other scenario is when the last parenthesis we process when the stack is empty already. What we're gonna do? So let's handle the case each by one by one. So the first case is that if the stack is not empty, stack has something like this. And then what we're gonna do is stack, if stack is not empty, right? I'm gonna stack the pop. So it will pop the left parenthesis index out of the stack. And then else is that if the stack is empty already, what I'm gonna do? If the stack is empty already, so like in this case is D, I'm just gonna write the last few, and so that you can see what happens for the last one. So this is the end of the list here, right? Let's say we processed here and the stack is already empty, and I'm processing the last index here, and I don't know what the index is, but let's say it's index 10 for this one. I'm just using, I didn't count the number, but just using an example. If this is 10 here, right? What are we going to do? We're not going to append it to the list because the stack is empty right now. And what we're going to do is that when we popped everything out, is empty, meaning everything else is in pair already. What we wanted to do is actually remove this one because we don't want this one, and this will be the actual one that we are looking for. So then essentially what I wanted to do is that I want to set the list I position. So basically that position, if this guy's index, I want to set it to empty. Basically remove it. So then after I remove it, it will look like something like this. Basically remove the last parenthesis. So when I join them together, it will be a valid lowercase English with a parenthesis. So then if the stack is still not empty after all these processing, right? There is still some stuff left in the apprentices, let's say if 12, let's say 12 is still not empty, what we're going to do is that we actually going to do the same as I and basically set the index of that parenthesis to empty in the list here so that we can make sure everything is valid and remove it. So the index for this this guy is actually we want to stack the pop. That will be the last index, right? And then we're gonna set that guy to empty. Once we set it to empty, there will be nothing left in the index. And then in the end, we can just return. This is we want to join the list. How do we join the list? That's basically Python's join function. And then once you join them together, they will return to the Leetcode state. They basically remove all the quote and the comma as well. And then that should be it. Yep. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any additional questions. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.